and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Noah, and I wanted to welcome all of you today to the second episode of a series of videos here on my YouTube channel where I discuss the different types of lifestyles that you can have at varying salaries. If you saw the first episode, you'll know that we covered what life could be like in three different scenarios with a salary of $40,000. And for this episode, we're going to be using the salary amount of $50,000. With all of that being said, let's get into the different types of lifestyles that you can have with a salary of $50,000. Okay, so here we are in Excel again. This is going to be the same dashboard that I used for the first episode where the salary amount was $40,000. It seemed to work pretty well, so I just want to stay consistent with it. But basically, the important parts that I do want to mention, I'm not going to go into as much detail as I did on the first episode, but we have our salary up here. The check amount, which is going to be, in this case, a bi-monthly, every other week basically payment scheme here. So 26 pay periods per year. The 401k amount that we're going to be putting in from each check is going to be here. We have health insurance, dental insurance, and then vision insurance as well, which, if you recall from the first episode, I used the amounts from my personal, or the company that I work for, just to put a number in here. It could be different for you. It could be higher. It could be lower. You may not have any, for certain careers and stuff. But generally speaking, these amounts here, I think, are generally pretty average for different jobs here in the United States. I also do have a section for the HSA, or health savings account, here as well, which will be taken out of your total taxable amount when you finally do have to start paying for taxes on each check. And I do have the check amount here, the total taxes per check on here, which are going to be basically deducted after we deduct all of these benefits from each of the checks. I have the take-home amount per check, the take-home amount on an average monthly basis, and then finally the most important thing is the take-home amount on an annual basis as well. So similar to the first video in this series of videos here on my YouTube channel, there's going to be three different scenarios. There's going to be one scenario which is going to be referencing the individual who's potentially very hyper focused on their benefits at their retirement, retiring early, retiring with enough money, having a savings, and so on. So they're going to be all in on basically their benefits before anything else. The second scenario, which we will see, is the individual who basically wants all of the money, or as much of the money as they make, to take home. So they are basically foregoing all of their benefits. They don't give a shit about health insurance. They don't give a shit about dental. They don't care about their 401k. They don't care about their retirement. They just want to take home as much as physically possible, right? So we're going to go over that example as well. And then third, but not least, is the individual, or this scenario where the person in that example is somewhat focused on, or somewhat thinking about their retirement and benefits. So they are opting in for their health care and their retirement, just not to the extent that the individual that is hyper focused is. So we're going to go over that as well, and basically see what type of lifestyles each person can have. So let's start with the first example here, which is the individual who's very hyper focused on it, right? And this makes sense because they are opting in for everything. They're maxing out the amount that they can put towards their 401k. They have health, dental, vision insurance, and they are also maxing their HSA account, which is a very powerful tool that I feel like is a little bit underappreciated. But they have everything in there, and at the end of the year, we can see that their take-home annually is going to be $14,768. So you're probably thinking, well, that's a stark difference, right? Our salary is $50,000, and at the end of the year, we're only taking, we're less than half of that, right? We're only getting $14,000 out of it. But this is generally the case, right? Because they are putting so much in towards benefits for the long term. So this makes sense. But let's see what kind of life this individual can live. Let's see basically how much we can get out of this annual take home of $14,000, nearly $15,000. So let's start here with rent or mortgage. Let's say I think we used rent as maybe $1,000 last time, which, depending on your area, might be a little bit higher, might be lower. I know, in my hometown of Wisconsin, or Appleton, Wisconsin, rather, the rent is maybe sitting around, six, 700, 800, something like that. But here in Austin, it's sitting, probably around 1,400. So let's just use 1,000 because there are so many other expenses that are kind of tied up into that. So perfect. So as we can see, just putting rent in there, right? $1,000 a month, $12,000 annually. Our total spending already just in that is $12,000. So that leaves $2,768 for everything else in our life, right? Our electric, our utility, our groceries, our vehicle. I mean, I don't think I need to start filling in these boxes here for you to see that that's not going to work, right? It's just not enough to really have a life out on your own. So in this example, similar to the $40,000 example, the individual who was very conscientious of their benefits, they're probably not on their own, right? They're probably still at home, saving the money. They don't have rent. So they're taking this $14,000 and maybe giving a little bit of it to their parents and spending a little bit on it to help with food and so on. But they're likely not on their own because it just doesn't work. Now let's move into the example of the individual who doesn't give a shit about any of their benefits, but they want to live. They want to live out on their own. They want to take back as much of that money as possible. So here we have the scenario 2, or the individual who wants as much money as they can get, right? And we can see that, right? $50,000. This is their check amount twice a month. And you can see they are opting out of everything. They're not contributing anything to their 401k, despite the fact that they might have a match, which is a huge, huge, huge mistake. I'm not going to get into that here, but it's a big mistake. They're not opting in for their health insurance. They're not opting in for dental or vision. They're not putting anything away in their health savings account, which yields a pretty, a higher taxable amount per check at nearly $400 per check, meaning their take home is going to be $1,500, which is, quite a bit different, right? Our take home in the first example was 500 some. This is going to be 1,500. So pretty big difference. Their take home monthly on average is going to be 3,300, and annually, most importantly, is just shy of $40,000. So this is really good information, right? So this individual, like I said, they are opting out of all of, the really important things to basically take home as much money as they can to perhaps have a life on their own and so on. So let's take this information and let's start trying to put together a life that they could potentially have. So let's stick with the same example. Let's assume their rent is $1,000 monthly. Let's maybe say their electric monthly is, I don't know, 80, pretty conservative, I think. Utility monthly, that's just, I think 40 to 50 is pretty standard. So let's say 40. Groceries, reasonable, $100 a week, so $400 a month. I think a lot of people are generally a little bit higher than this, but let's just use this for example. Let's say they do have a vehicle. Maybe their monthly payment is $300. Gasoline on a monthly basis. Let's say I don't know, maybe $150 a month. Sounds, a tank of gas is maybe $50 or something like that. So let's use that. And let's say they don't have a kid in this example. Medical, let's hypothetically say that they don't have any medical expenses, and that they should be thankful, right? Because they don't have any insurance in here as well. They're being kind of a dumbass. But their pet, let's say maybe their pet is $20 a month on average, with different bills that come up and shots and food and so on. Student loans, that's for this example, maybe say that they are opting out of or they don't have student loans rather. I know that's a rare thing nowadays, but for this example, let's just say that. They don't have debt, let's say that. Their phone, maybe their phone is, I don't know, $30 a month. That's a pretty common price that I see throwing around. So now, from their essential expenses, it looks like at the end of it, assuming that this is the case, they will have already spent $24,240 just on their essentials, which leaves $15,000, right? So, okay, this is not horrible, right? If their essentials are taken care of and they still have a little bit of play money. So now, discretionary, right? Everybody's got different expenses that come up. Maybe say on a monthly basis that they spend $100, pretty conservative, right? entertainment, going out and so on. Maybe we'll say 250 a month, perhaps. Beauty, maybe they, a haircut and so on. We'll keep this pretty low. Maybe we'll just say on average $10 a month. Maybe they don't get their haircut, kind of like what my hair is looking like looking like right now. Their fitness, maybe their gym membership is $20 a month, right? A nice cheap gym membership. Miscellaneous expenses are obviously going to come up, especially when you're living on your own. So maybe let's say this is 100 and maybe let's say this is, yeah, I think 150 is relatively fair. And dining, right? Dining out. This is tough. Maybe we'll say, how about 300 a month perhaps? Or yeah, let's maybe use 300 a month. I think that's fair. So now, non-essential expenses were just under $10,000. So that leaves $5,762 for saving or investing, right? So this is good. We'll put that in there. Let's say, well, we don't even actually need to. We can just do a little bit of math here. Let's just round it to about $6,000. So let's say they want to save 3,000, and there's 3,000 remaining for investing. Which you might be thinking, well, they're investing, right? No, isn't that a good thing? Yes and no, right? Yes, because you want to be investing. No, because for the first thing is that if in this example they're investing $3,000 annually. In this first example, this person is putting away $884 per check, right? Which is quite a bit of it's a huge difference at the end of the year compared to the measly $3,000 here. The other thing is that anything could happen medically, so that $3,000 could go away. The other thing that I'm not adding is I'm on here is for a young adult that is just going out on their own. They probably have student loans, right? So I'm not putting anything in here. Let's say their student loans are mild, maybe $150 a month. Now there's even less remaining. They might not have other debt, but yeah, at the end of the year, $4,000 saved. It's not horrible, but like I said, look at what they're missing out on, right? They're missing out on a 401k, health insurance, dental, vision, and an HSA. So in this example, can you live on your own? Yes, similar to how you could with a salary of $40,000. But at the end of the year, the amount that you have left over for saving and investing could easily be zero if these numbers were higher, if you, wanted to do more shopping, or if an emergency would happen medically and you needed to fit the bill for it, right? So in this example, yes, you can live on your own. But should you be going down this path of opting out of everything? Probably not. So now finally, let's get into the third example of the individual who finds a happy medium between the first scenario and the second. So here is the third example, right? So the salary is the same $50,000, check amount $1,923. They are contributing half of the amount that the individual in scenario one, the hyper-focused individual, is contributing, which is still pretty good, right? $400 per check is a pretty good amount. They are opting in for all of their insurances, which is absolutely essential here in this country. And they are also contributing half the amount that the hyper-focused individual is contributing, which is basically essentially half of the maximum amount that you can legally put into this account on an annual basis, leaving their taxes per check just under $240. Their take-home per check is right around $1,000. Their take-home monthly average is going to be $2,167. And importantly, take-home annually is going to be $26,000. So this is good. Now that we know this information, let's try to put together a life for this person as well. So let's stick with the $1,000 monthly for rent, right? Already, we're $12,000 deep. So the amount remaining is going to be $14,000. So let's just keep going here. Electric, I think we said was 80, utility 40 a month, groceries 400 a month, vehicle maybe 300, gasoline I think we said 100. Let's see, child, let's say 0, medical 0, pet $20 a month. Student loans will say that that is zero as well. Other debt, zero. And then their phone, I think we said $30 a month. So after this individual's essential expenses, assuming that this is the case, we have less than $2,000 left over, which in my personal opinion, we don't even need to start filling this out because $2,000 is going to be gone instantly between discretionary expenses, miscellaneous expenses, and dining and so on. It's not in the bill, right? So for this example too, we don't even need to continue filling things out because we already know that it's going to be a pretty tough time because there's just not going to be enough money. So for this example, similar to both of them, scenario one and scenario two, they do have enough money to be out on their own to a certain extent, but I really wouldn't be confident with this because, like I said, less than $2,000 to cover all of your non-essentials is just not that much. So in this example too, if this person is trying to find a happy medium, I don't think that's sufficient. It's not a big enough salary for them to do that without continuing to stay at home and save that extra money to do something else with. Pardon me. Like I said, at the end of the year, this person still has $26,000 to kind of play around with. So if they're at home, they can pay a little bit of their way with their family. They can maybe go on a few trips and they can save a decent amount, right? That's pretty important as well. But likely for this income amount too, I think it's very clear that you can see the benefits of staying back home and conserving as much of your financial resources as possible to really not dig yourself into a hole that you can't dig yourself out of. So there you have it. I know I went through quite a bit of information relatively fast, but I just wanted to show you guys the three scenarios with a income of $50,000. And in this example as well, similar to the first example of $40,000, in any scenario, it just doesn't seem like a smart idea to kind of go out on your own and take on, all of the financial obligations that come with being out on your own. Having your own bills, having your own place, having to buy your own food and kind of pay for your own way. There's certainly pros and cons with each scenario, being if you're really hyper focused on investing, it doesn't really leave you with much money. And if you're, even if you're finding a happy medium between investing and having your benefits, it still doesn't quite fit the bill to be able to live out on your own efficiently, at least in my personal opinion. So that concludes this episode of Life with $50,000 here on my YouTube channel. So what do you think about the examples that I put forward for you today? Do they seem accurate? Do they seem like bullshit? Please let me know in the comment section below. And as always, if you have any questions for me personally, or if you'd like to take a look at the financial services that I can provide to you, I've left my email and a link to my company website in the description box below. As always, thank you so much for your time today, and happy financing.